Hello, my friend. You are listening to CEO Soapbox podcast with Neda Farzad, episode number 9. Let's get straight to it. We're wrapping up 2025, and it's time to talk about what actually worked in leadership this year, what was a complete waste of time, and what you need to stop carrying into 2026 if you want to stay on top. As the year wraps up, it's hard to miss the endless streams of feel good quotes. You know, the ones be more empathetic, embrace change, and other generic advice. Sure, they sounds nice, but let's be honest, they often fall short on depth and practical takeaways. So, today I'm cutting through the noise. I'm going to walk you through 10 leadership lessons from 2025 that really mattered. These are not just coming out of nowhere. These are strategies I've seen make a real difference for businesses of all shapes and sizes, from scrappy startups to 7, 8, and even 9-figure companies I've partnered with. These are not theory. It's what's been proven to work in the trenches this year. So by the end of this episode, you have a clear, no bullshit framework to audit your own leadership and head into 2026 with a serious competitive edge. So let's start with the big one. Lesson number 1, stop chasing culture fit and start hiring for culture contribution. For years, we've been obsessed with this culture fit. It sounds great, right? You hire people who just get your business. But what does it really mean? Too often, it's a lazy shorthand for hiring people who look, think, and act just like us. It leads to echo chambers where everyone agrees, and my friend, that's where innovation goes to die. Let's talk about the businesses that absolutely crushed it in 2025. They were the ones who finally figured out that hiring carbon copies of their existing team wasn't the way to go. Instead of just looking for people who would just fit in, they tackled that unconscious bias head on, you got it, and actively sought out candidates who could bring something new to their table. They stopped hiring for culture fit and started hiring for culture contribution. And guess what? It worked. So what does this mean? This means you are not asking, will they fit in at that Friday drinks? No. Instead, you should be asking, what unique perspective or skills can this person bring to the table that we don't currently have? Because let's just be honest with each other. There's always a perspective you're missing, and you might be surprised to find out what it is. It might feel a bit uncomfortable. It might lead to more debates in the meeting, in your boardroom, or even in your own head. That's good. That's where the growth happens. Sameness is the enemy of progress. Remember that. Now, lesson number 2. Your hybrid work policy is a performance tool, not a perk. Remote versus office versus hybrid. It's a debate that just won't die. But as we settle into 2025, isn't it time we finally put the old argument to bed and look at how we can use this for everyone's benefit? So if you still think flexible work is just a shiny perk to keep employees happy, you're missing the big picture. Great leaders know that managing a team isn't about keeping everyone happy all the time. It's just not possible. It's all about using your work model as a secret weapon to drive performance. By focusing on using this as a performance tool over a perk or nice to have, smart leaders created a work environment that both effective and energizing. So here's how they're doing it. They're asking smart questions like, what tasks actually require face-to-face collaboration? And what work is better suited for deep, distracted-free focus at home? They are ditching the dreaded Tuesday to Thursday office mandate because random office days, really? Yeah, that's just micromanagement in a nicer outfit. They are empowering teams to set their own rhythm based on their work at hand. All right, if you're worried, if you just think, I'm worried my team's secretly watching Netflix at home, Let's just be honest, that's less about remote work and more about how you're managing them. Tracking hours or rewarding looking busy has never been a secret sauce to great performance. It didn't even work when it was the office either. It didn't. Instead, shift your focus to measure outcomes, not hours, trust your team to deliver, and stop babysitting and start leading. The result? Higher productivity, happier employees, and a workplace where adults are trusted to, adults. So please shut the door on outdated management practices. The future of work isn't about where it happens. It's about what gets done. Plus, it's a lot more fun when you're not stuck micromanaging, those Tuesday to Thursday policies, right? Now, lesson number 3. Ooh, this is my favorite. Oversharing isn't vulnerability. Let's talk about the Brené Brown effect. It's been great for businesses, but some leaders have gotten the whole idea wrong. They think vulnerability means turning a team meeting into a therapy session and dumping all of their personal anxieties on everyone. Spoiler alert, this is not what it means. True leadership vulnerability isn't about being overly emotional or treating your team like a diary. It's about intellectual honesty and creating psychological safety in business. And here's what it actually looks like. Number 1, admitting you don't have all the answers. Saying, I'm not sure about this, but let's figure it out together, is a sign of strength, not weakness. Number 2 is owning your mistakes. Not long-winded excuses, just a simple, I messed that up, and here's how I'm going to fix it. Then you need to, number 3, creating space for honesty. It's about building an environment where your team feels safe enough to admit their own challenges and mistakes without fear. Ultimately, leadership vulnerability is about having the courage to be transparent and human, but not about having a meltdown in the middle of the strategy meeting. No. All right, lesson number 4. Just before we get to lesson number 4, I love Brené Brown. All right, let's get to lesson number 4. Financial literacy isn't just for accountants in the business, it's for everyone. This one is a game changer. The companies and businesses that thrived in 2025 all had one thing in common. Commercial awareness wasn't just a buzzword, it was baked into the culture. The best leaders I worked with didn't keep the business stuff and money stuff locked away in a meeting room or just with the accounts team. Nope. They took the time to break it down to their teams, key metrics, how the company actually makes money, and how each role ties into the bigger picture. Here's why this matters. When your team gets the why behind the numbers, they make smarter and more strategic decisions. And no, you don't need to turn everyone into accountants. Imagine the chaos. But everyone should at least know the score. Like, what's the company's main goal? Which numbers really matters? And how does their work impact those numbers? When your team understands these basics, you're not just building a workforce, you're building a team that plays to win. All right, lesson number 5. Your personal brand is a non-negotiable leadership asset. If you're a CEO, founder, leader, director of the business who's still hiding behind your company's logo, you are playing an old game. In 2025, trust shifted even more from a faceless businesses and corporation to people running them. Your customers, your partners, your future star employees want to know, who are you? What do you stand for and why you do what you do? This isn't about, let's just be clear. This isn't about turning you into some over-the-top, cringe-worthy influencer. Oh no, we don't want that. No TikTok dance routine required, and definitely no awkward, Joker level, wide open mouth smiles plastered all over the brand. Don't do that. It's about having a point of view and sharing it. It's about building a reputation on LinkedIn or other relevant platform as an expert in your field. The leaders who did this well attracted talent like magnets. They got inbound calls for partnership. They could command a room before they even walked into it. Your personal brand isn't a vanity. It's your leverage. Use it. All right, lesson number 6. The best leaders were actually the best unlearners. Yep. This year, the speed of change was like trying to drink from a fire hose. The strategy was stroke of genius in January, felt like a fossil by July. The leaders who got left behind were the ones clutching their old playbooks like a comfort blankie. You could almost hear them muttering, but this is how we always done it. Or the classic, well, back in my MBA program, we all agreed. The real winners, my friend, they were masters of unlearning. Here's what they did differently. First, they questioned everything. They actively poked holes in their own long-held beliefs. It's like they were their own devil's advocate. They also collected new perspectives. They weren't afraid to seek out different, even contradictory point of views from their own. And they had the humility to pivot. They could admit when the strategy wasn't working and had the guts to change course quickly. This takes some serious confidence. It all comes down to intellectual security. So here's a question for you. What belief about your business, market, team, or yourself is gathering dust and need to be unlearned right now? All right, lesson number 7. Are you waiting for AI? We have to talk about AI. So lesson number 7 is AI is a leadership co-pilot, not a job stealer. 2025 was the year AI moved from a buzzword to a practical tool in the C-suite. The leaders who got ahead weren't the ones who understood the complex code, but the ones who understood the strategic question to ask. They didn't see AI as a way to replace people, but rather a tool to help them. Some, they used it, for example, for data synthesis. They're turning the mountains of market data into clear, actionable insight in a minute for themselves and their team. Or they use it as an operational efficiency, identifying bottlenecks in their process that humans would never spot. The mistake is seeing it as just a cost-cutting tool. The opportunity is using it as a strategic co-pilot to provide info faster so it could help you, everyone in the business, make faster and smarter decisions. And on a personal note, if you're not personally experimenting with AI tools to enhance your own leadership workflow, you're already falling behind, my friend. All right, we're moving to lesson number 8, the power of strategic disconnection. We live in a culture of perpetual connectivity. It's a leadership trap. The expectation to be always on leads to shallow thinking and reactive decision making. And I know you can see it. You've done it before. You've seen leaders done it before. The most effective leaders I saw were masters of strategic disconnection. They were ruthless about protecting time for deep work. They would go offline for hours at a time. They took their holidays and actually disconnected. No, just checking for a few emails. No. Why? Because they know their primary job is to think, to strategize, and to see the bigger picture. You can't do that when you've been pulled in every direction with Slack notification, chat notification, text messages, and back-to-back Zoom calls. Being consistently available makes you a bottleneck, not a better leader. So show your team that strategic disconnection is a strength, not a weakness. Lesson number 9. Emotional regulation is your superpower. This was a volatile year. There were wins, but there were also some brutal losses. Markets shifted and deals fell through, key people quit. In these high-stake moments, the team doesn't look at the strategy document. They look at you. Your emotional state sets the tone for the entire business. The leaders who thrived were rock solid. They didn't panic. They didn't lash out. They absorbed the pressure, processed it in a healthy way, and projected calm, focused confidence. This isn't about being a robot with no feeling. That's not what I'm saying. It's about having a self-awareness to manage your own emotional responses so you can lead effectively through the chaos. If you're a leader who flies off the handle or retreats into a shell when things get tough, you are a liability to your business. Your team needs a stable anchor, not a weather vane. All right. Lesson number 10. This is the leadership mistake that you must leave behind in 2025. And my friend, you cannot take it with you to 2026. And that is confusing busy with productive. This is a big one. We glorify the hustle. We wear our 60 or 80-hour work week like a badge of honor. And one of the most destructive habits in leadership and in business. Being busy is not the same as being productive. You know that. You're smart. Being in a back-to-back meeting is not the same as making progress. Let's just ditch one major mistake for good. Measuring your own or your team's value by how many hours you spend chained to your desk or laptop. Your worth isn't determined by who wins the most time logged in award. It's about outcome. It's about impact. I've seen leaders and businesses burn out the best people by celebrating business, and that's a real issue. The real challenge of leadership isn't to get more done. It's to get the right things done. In 2026, I challenge you to build a culture that celebrates results, not just activity. Reward the person who discovers a brilliant shortcut, not just the one burning the midnight oil and chained to their laptop and answering your emails on 10 p.m. That said, if someone's staying late all the time, maybe it's worth having a chat with them. Maybe they've overloaded, stuck on something, or just need help finding their own shortcuts. Either way, great leadership isn't just about recognizing effort. It's about making sure the effort is smart and sustainable. Protect your time, your team's time for the work that truly matters. Stop glorifying being busy. It's a trap, and it's holding you and your business back, if that's what you did in 2025. So there you have it, my friend. The top 10 lessons from a chaotic, challenging, but ultimately clarifying year. From hiring for contribution and not fit, to mastering strategic disconnection and dropping the obsession with business. This isn't about the complete overhaul. It's about making a few critical shifts in your mindset and your method that will have a huge impact on yours, your business, and your team's performance. Thanks for joining me on my soapbox today. It's always more fun with company up here. If anything else had made you nod along or think, that's interesting, hit subscribe or share it with someone who loves a good brain snack. Got thoughts, hot takes, or some disagreements? I'm all ears. Let's connect. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Neda Farzad, and that's Neda Farzad, because I know you were wondering. Or catch me on Instagram and Facebook at Neda Farzad Official. Have an awesome week. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected. Bye for now.